Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you're listening to this podcast, I want to welcome you back to Legacy Builders Unleashed. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We're here to explore and share with you valuable insight to empower and grow and help you grow in your journey as an entrepreneur, a small business owner. Just try to figure out like ways of how do I improve my life in all areas of my life, not just in my pocket because we know that money comes and goes, but who you are stands the test of time. This is stuff that people write about and remember you for. So I'm really excited about today's guest because, man, you're in for a treat. Now, Debbie Wildrick, she's been in the food and beverage industry for over 30 years and widely touted as the queen of beverages. She's been extremely influential and highly experienced in all areas of the industry. And her earlier career included sales management for brands like Sundance Juice Sparklers, which became $100 million brand, and Tropicana, where she built the immediate consumption channel. She was a part of that program and she ran beverages for 7-Eleven, launching many of the startup brands that we now know of today. And so since 2007, she has had several early stage or startup brands from, the vice president of sales and marketing to president and CEO. And now she focus on writing a book, a 10 series course and related articles and white papers on what it takes to be successful in building your consumer package good business. So powerful. Now, her story of what now to do, what not to do, and what to do, and what happens are as important to the learning process and mitigating risk as knowing what to do. So important. And I know that this is going to ring true for anybody that's listening when it comes to lessons learned and mitigating risks. So I'm really excited to share with you Debbie Wildrick. Debbie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's great to be here. And what a great introduction. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, gosh, you're the one that filled it. I mean, you have such a beautiful track record of just when I read that, I was like, okay, that is diligence, that's resilience, that's focus because you know, an entire career in food and beverage, we have to kind of even just Tropicana and mentioning 7-Eleven. I mean, these are brands that have definitely experienced their own forms of pandemics, if you will, and to be able to see that through and, rally through difficult challenges and seasons. I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah. I know that you focus on legacy and I've been working on that for years and going through what I really want my legacy to be. And
Mm,
it's really come together most recently, but it's those early years that really shaped who I am today.
mm,
And the experiences that those early years gave me to build and to begin to really work with early stage and now of course having written the course or in the process of writing the course and the book and so forth to really help entrepreneurs understand what it takes to have the wheels moving forward. I like
yeah.
to say, with you really need all 10 spokes of the wheels or the 10 pillars that I've written to be successful. And gosh, it takes a lot of experience and
Mm,
knowledge and but most importantly, just real determination and due
mm,
diligence.
mm. 100% determination and due diligence in this journey as in entrepreneurship and in business ownership. Several of my clients are in they've just acquired a business and And it's a great step, right? If you decide to not build, you could buy. And what they're sharing with me is that in their journey, they're learning what the business has done, but they have this like there's a gap of knowledge that they don't have in order to optimize, right? So it's like, how do you use historic data information when you weren't there? It's all word of mouth. It's all, reviewing the documentation. You know what today looks like, but how do you weather the storm for future seasons? Because that's where you rely on that wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah, and I like either. I like either way. Certainly in my early career, I was always building, but by the time that I got to 7-Eleven, which was the other side of the desk, as you will, for me, and making decisions of what products go on the shelf and
Mm,
that move into consumers' mouths over and over again is critical to your role as a merchandiser. And those kinds of decisions and having to make those kinds of decisions require you to understand a lot about history, but also
mhm,
about future. And I like to, when I think about what my expertise is, buying a business and evaluating that business and looking at the history and looking at the future and doing the I used the word due diligence work
yes.
before, but it's really digging into every aspect of that business and then figuring out what how I can then move the needle to scale that business forward because I've
Mm,
just purchased this business, right?
yeah,
Um, and I love both sides of the work. I like creating from the beginning or helping
same.
the entrepreneur to create from the beginning because we're building products and brands and selling to the consumers in my particular case. But it may be, it may be any kind of business that you've purchased. And I also specialize in really digging into businesses that are mid stage and
Mm,
being able to look at all the aspects of the business, and that applies to the 10 pillars as well. As how is my sales and distribution, what are my marketing tactics like, what does
mm.
my branding look like, and all those things. How have my sales been? Am I moving products off the shelf? And
Oh, yeah.
all of those things that we can jump into and dig into our past
Mm,
and marry that with the opportunity for the future,
mm,
based on the trends. And certainly if we just bought a business, we want to know that the reason that we buy businesses is not, we may see a business that has all kinds of potential, but it looks like it's really messed up. So I can go in there and really make a difference, right?
yeah.
Um, or or maybe we didn't understand all about the business, but we knew that the future trends for this type of business are right on. So it's and it's I think it's in some ways, easier to buy into a business than it is to start from scratch, depending on your experience level.
Mm, that's so true. Yeah, because I I'm like you. I like talking about building and I like talking about buying, right? Like, and it depends on the industry too, I think. Specifically, is there, like you said, do you have the expertise, the knowledge of what you're doing, or even get being resourceful and leveraging someone else's expertise to build and grow that business. But I'd love to talk more about your 10 pillars because, I'm curious what those 10 pillars are. And would you mind sharing that with us?
Yes, I'd love to. So I like to start out with the consumer, the market opportunity and consumer need. And the first number one is market opportunity and consumer need. And I'll just state too that that by the way, as I'm talking about these market opportunities and consumers need that at my website debbiewildrick.com, if you go to free.debbiewildrick.com, there is a whole overview on market opportunity and consumer need. It's a white paper that you can download for free. And what so many times the entrepreneur has an idea they want, and let's talk products because that's my business.
Yes, yes.
They have an idea because they have a need that they can't find a product that fits that need.
Mm,
And as an example, the founders of Oatly milk, which is an
yeah.
oat milk product, and couldn't find, they were lactose intolerant, and so we come up, we have this problem that
Mm,
we're trying to solve for, and we're looking everywhere for a product that can fulfill that need, and so that creates the idea. And
mhm.
at the same time, and this has happened to me years and years and years, that the entrepreneur comes to me and says that they've got an idea and they don't really know if there's a consumer need. Yes, they
Mm,
believe that they found it. So two of things: the market opportunity and the consumer need, and then pillar number two is actually product differentiation, and
mm,
those two
yeah,
go hand in hand. So I may
yes.
come, I it's happened a lot. The energy drink category is really popular, and they I've had people come to me before and say, I want to create an energy drink that is all natural, that it doesn't have any negative ingredients in it, and all natural, maybe organic. And I'll say, well, what's your differentiation? Well, I can't find that on the shelf. And I remember telling a client one time, well, have you been into Whole Foods lately?
Mm, right.
There's a whole
There's a
so
whole section for that.
yeah, we we
Yeah.
think because we can't find our idea on the shelf, and and those two pillars are critical to really starting, having your success. And so market opportunity, consumer need, and then pillar number two is product differentiation. And I have to know that those two pillars are satisfied in order to be successful.
Ooh,
And then
that's good.
pillar number three, and these are the first four, really are startup, um, figuring out how to get the product to market and whether or
Yeah.
not you're going to be successful. So pillar number three is really formulation, product development, manufacturing, and figuring out whether or not you're going to be able to manufacture this product. Are you going to be able to formulate it? Are you going to be able to put it in the packaging that you want to put it in? And sometimes we come up with some, product differentiation is packaging, and
Yes. Yes.
and we come up with a great package idea, but we can't, the formulation's not going to work, or the
Mm,
processing method is not going to work with the type of packaging. And you'd be surprised, a lot of people have no idea about all those dynamics. And then pillar number four is a viable business model. And this is as simple as the back of a napkin,
yeah.
sitting here in a coffee shop, as you referenced earlier. It's in determining our market opportunity and our pillar number one. In determining that, we've hopefully gone through the process of understanding what our competition is, and starting at a price point that the consumer will command for this particular product. So I'm
Yeah.
launching a tea, and a really unusual tea in a glass bottle. I had somebody come to me once about this, and I know that I want to be able to sell it for $1.99. Um, that's because that's where my competition is. And but I want all these ingredients in it, and I want it in a glass bottle, and I want blah blah blah. So we start the viable business model is teaching you how to understand your price, the price point. And this goes for any type of business.
It's like cost plus, right? Like, what is the
Yeah,
cost to deliver or to actually just complete this product to get it on the shelf? This is what it's going to cost, that idea. And then is it even comparable to be on, to be compared with a competitor that you've done research on? Is that,
absolutely. And so I back into it. So I
yeah.
start with the price point. So if if you're selling a service, or you're selling a gadget, the same thing goes. I start with the price point, and I back into all the levels of the supply chain, because
Mm,
there's distribution margins, there's retailer margins, there's then at the bottom there's cost of goods.
yeah.
And so a lot of times we come up with this great idea, and we haven't really effectively gone through all those levels. And the cost of goods is obviously the first thing that's going to, like, kill you if you you want all these ingredients in it, as an example. And then it costs you 25 cents a bottle to produce, and you've got to include all those things. But the back of the napkin exercise is to start with your price point, and back into it. And that goes for any type of business. And running a cleaning business, I know that I'm going to charge X amount of money. So I need to back into all my cost in the supply chain. How much does it cost me to get to the work, and how
Yeah.
much does it cost me for the employees, and so on and so forth. And so,
Yes.
yeah, so that's 1 through 4, and then 5 through 10 really get more into the marketing. Well, first of all, branding,
Mm,
and then marketing, and then sales and distribution, and then team and infrastructure. What tools, what software do you need to really run your business?
mm,
And it's pretty, in the early stages of a CPG company that's being run by an entrepreneur who is not necessarily funded. Well, it's a spreadsheet business, but then it moves into QuickBooks, and then it moves into bigger systems it include inventory management, and CRMs. And so you're building your infrastructure, and that's as important as it is your team. And the final pillar, and I haven't numbered them all together there, but the final pillar is
yeah.
financing, number 10.
Oh, oh my gosh.
And so, and I think this goes across all, it goes across all industries pretty much. But in the food and beverage industry,
Mm,
8 out of 10 new products will fail in the first year. And in the second year, most of those 20% who succeed, 10, half of those will fail, most likely because either they didn't understand all of the 10 pillars,
yes. Yeah.
and they missed on one or two. But most likely they haven't raised enough money, and they're finding themselves raising money and spending all their time raising money when so they lose hold of the business,
Mm,
or they lose parts of the business because they don't have enough money to fund it. And so pillar number 10, and I like to say this about the 10 pillars, even though I referenced the fact that the first four are key to the baseline for success.
yeah.
They're not necessarily in any particular order of getting them right, you know,
Mm,
because financing, which is number 10, is as important as number one,
mhm. Yeah.
uh, having
Yeah.
enough money to really get it off the ground, and then follow through with it.
Yes. I have friends in commercial real estate, and I play in commercial real estate a little bit, but one of my friends, I remember he had this big audacious idea, and it was pretty cool. I mean, I can't say it wasn't. It was pretty cool. And I remember he went to one of the banks that he does business with all the time, and he sat down and he told the idea, and they were like, "That's too much risk," and they would not give him the money because, like you said, looking at the data and the analytics of how can you pay me back on this thing? How can we make more money on this? And if it's not a viable idea or product, it's going to make financing even more challenging.
Mhm.
And so, like, I love this. And so you talked about like the core four. I'm in my mind. I'm like, that's the core four, and it really is the due diligence that we do in market research, it really changes the game. I mean, if we're not doing our due diligence and looking out in the marketplace and seeing what is does our idea first exist?
Mhm.
Second, is there a demand? And is the demand hot enough, right? Like, are they gonna see a $10 glass bottle of tea and run the other direction? Or are they gonna choose something cheaper? Is it about price or is it about quality? Like, that has a lot to do with the market targeting. And so 100%, like, I
You're hired.
love these pillars. I'm hired. I've spent like 20 years of my life, in marketing. So this is like, I mean, but this formula, the 10 pillars are so important. And you know what? Scratched my head and I was like, oh, you're right. Branding does come before marketing because branding is the identity of the product and the brand.
Exactly.
And then you get to communicate and talk about it. And I think a lot of people start with marketing and then create a brand.
Mhm. Mhm.
Is product branding different from personal branding in your opinion?
Ooh, that's a really good question, because obviously I've worked on my personal brand as much as my product branding, and personal branding is has been a hot ticket. It's all about, what you talk about from a legacy perspective, queen of
Mm,
beverages. Um,
yeah.
I would say definitely yes, because what I've experienced when I just started I did my new website. It's been up about a year now. But getting to the point of, touted as the queen of beverages, titan of industry, the words that I use to create my website and my personal brand are are about things I had to, even though people in the industry know me all over for years. I'm a well known name, but have I been hired recently doing what I'm doing?
Mm,
Not necessarily, because I have spent a lot of time working directly for brands, or actually we started a consulting firm in 2012 that worked with entrepreneurs for years, um, doing that. But it's really, so I'm what I'm getting at is I'm well known, but how do I once again communicate who
like,
I am and what I deliver on when
Mm.
I deliver to you what's in it for me, and I talk about this as it relates to branding a product. And
Yeah.
I was just working with a previous client. He's got me, and I do this a lot. I build investor decks for clients, and I did it for him. I offered him a reduced price, but I told him that you have to basically go get all your research. And do you know
Mm.
that he used AI amazingly for he had a product idea. He wanted to create a prebiotic soda with other things in it. He's already done one product. And he had this great product idea, but I said, Rick, you don't yet have enough to tell me what, that you've got a market opportunity and what your differentiation is. And I challenged him to do that
Yeah.
work. And he did amazing work. And he did it with the help of AI. It was very, very interesting. And I said, remember now, when you're doing this work, that branding is all about what's in it for me.
Yes. Yeah.
And you always got to ask your question, and you're
Yes.
asking it about the consumer, but
Mm.
your messaging is going to convey what's in it for me. I've got to convey that to my as a building my personal brand.
Mm.
I'm trying to sell my personal brand, you know,
Yeah.
I've got to create that what's in it for me
Mm.
to my customer base as well. So, yeah, it's a long way of answering your question because I had to figure out the answer.
No, it's great.
Answer. I think we just did that together, and I'm just um, plugging in my computer. I just realized it was not plugged in.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Okay, you're absolutely right. Like, what's in it for me? That's such a good point. Like when we put out, I mean, we all have brands. We were born with brands. Like that's just our identity. It's who we are known for. It's what stories we carry. It's the stories that we share. It's the way that we laugh. It's the way that our voice carries. It's our identity. And then it evolves. And so with that evolution, I think as a small business owner personally, I can speak to that is when I evolve, my businesses are evolving. And when they're evolving, it's like it almost I almost need to like separate the two because if I don't, and this is hard because these are my babies. I'm building these and to separate the two because if I don't separate the business from my personal brand, it's like if something goes different here with my personal, it's going to impact my business. And if something goes with my business, it's going to impact my personal. And and so I learned that the hard way, where early on I was like, I'm this, and then I changed my website. And then the next day is like, I'm this, and I changed the website. But it confused the audience because they're
Mhm.
like, what does this business do? It's hard to scale that way. And so anytime we do an evolution in our business brands, it's it's a separate conversation. It's like, okay, so kind of is basically looking at it as a product, like productizing our service businesses to say, what is the thing, the container, the packaging? Is it going to be in a glass jar or not? Is it like, is there a market demand for this? Like, who's our target audience? And, all that stuff, because we need to understand what they need. Now, my personal brand is going to be different because it
Mhm.
has to stand different. It has to be, I have to be I am the mascot, but I am also, like I'm also an individual, and the business it has its own individualism. It's autonomous. So it's really interesting. What's in it for me? So a personal brand, what's in it for me? A business brand, what's in it for me? Whether it's service or product, and these pillars are very applicable to a service business
Mhm.
because they're, I mean, when, if we start thinking that way, where our personal identity is different from the business identity, because that's what helps it become an asset. If it's a part of us and we're just an entrepreneur that we've bought a job, then, it of course, it's just gonna be you. But if it's something that can be, um, systematized, like when you get into the infrastructure and you're going from an Excel spreadsheet to QuickBooks to something more sexy like Salesforce or another SaaS solution that can do all the bells and whistles and be flexible, that requires the even the creator, the founder of the business to stand all on its own. It cannot be the same. Like, it's systematized, so I can step back and
Mhm.
say, "Okay, I built something that actually will last, that'll create a legacy." Um,
Mhm.
so, yeah, I think what I'm hearing from our conversation, just, talking through this, is in order to have a successful business, we have to be thinking about the end in mind. Like, is our plans to, like, even if it's not to sell it, but is it going to be an asset that's gonna be valuable to, let's say, add an entirely different channel of products or services to our business that, banks and investors are going to be happily raising their hand for, because now there's, you've shown that you could be trusted with finances and grow something.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think it's harder. I did see an interesting podcast with a lady um, the other day who was talking about raising money, and
Mm,
she said the main word that she said was determination. And there's lots of
mm,
money out there, and you have to have determination. And I didn't listen to the rest to hope that she went into a lot more detail. But in building the deck for your friend, the example of your friend who went to the bank,
yeah.
you know all the 10 pillars are also a part of an investor deck.
Yes. Yeah.
And those first four that I mentioned prove your business viability. And maybe he did have a great idea, but he had not built it enough with words to
Mm.
and research and background to convince the bank that it was worth the risk, because there's risk in everything, right?
There's risk in everything. Yeah, absolutely. We risk not doing anything. We risk doing something. Absolutely. Yeah, such a good point. I want to kind of. He did have a deck, I just don't know how much market research he did. I think he was leaning more on relationship than anything. Like, we've done a ton of deals. Well, I'm gonna go to this bank, and it was just kind of like very blasé. But you're right. No matter what, it's really structuring out the deal so that it's clear not only for them but also confidently for you. Because even just s- e- even in my own business, like, if I come out with a product idea or a service idea, I'm like, "Ooh, this is really cool." And if I am not clear on what I am selling, it's gonna be hard to communicate that. It's like it's very vague,
Mhm,
and like you said, build the
mhm,
words. And so, that's a really good point. And that's the part where people don't wanna do, is
mhm,
actually doing the market research. And like you said, I mean, AI can ChatGPT, Claude, these tools are Perplexity. I mean, these are brilliant tools for data research, if we know how to do it. But yeah, that's the part that most people don't want to do, but it's most necessary to do. Yeah.
well, and
So
I've only touched the surface on AI, and I'm amazed already. But I say, people, just to digress a second on AI, because you're right, people find it really hard to do the market research. And you know, I said this the other day. You've got to go to the shelf.
mhm.
In the case of the food and beverage business, go to the shelf at this. Go live, go out there. And um,
Yeah.
but because it's easy now to get a lot of information from the internet, but we still are humans. We still are making decisions based on actual live um, activity, if you will,
Mhm.
and we really can't we really can't see and feel what at the back of a computer. But the other thing, AI, we're a little nervous about AI because one, we think, well, I thought this the first time I used it because I did use it a lot for writing my white paper, which I could have written my white paper myself, and I was amazed at when I would put inputs in there, what would come back, and that it was like me, Um,
Yeah, you trained it.
it's yeah, but we worry with AI. Well, will somebody think that I used AI to write it? But you're not successful with AI unless you know your business, and your inputs, and how to maneuver through it.
Yeah.
Then y- you know so a person who has no experience in this industry goes in, plugs in, and says, how do I start a beverage company? No, that's not the way it works.
No. You're so right. I mean, we're people. We need to connect with people. AI will never replace service or creativity.
Right.
And it just can't because it's we have to like I said is we have to teach it. We have to teach it
Mm,
to sound like us, but isn't it, it'll never be 100% like us. Um and yeah, you have to know something. You have to know something so
mhm,
you can validate what's coming out of it. Because even because it's pulling information from all different sources and hopefully all the sources are accurate, but some of them aren't, when I do research for, government contracts or, building a business and optimizing for corporate contracts and stuff like that. And it's like, no, that's not true. Actually, this is the update, this is the edit, this is actually real time data. Da, da, da. And you kind of have to go through a couple of iterations. You can't take it for fact, but it definitely speeds up the process of building.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's, I had this thought the other day and I was recording it in my blog. Is like, I think that this is where we start to learn how to, so, for the most part, people are starting to get acclimated with AI, but, and there's still a huge learning curve. But I think that this is where we start to identify what we are calling it. Is it a replacer or is it an enhancer? Is it a supporter? Is it a guide? Is it a leader? Is it a coach? And in my opinion, I feel like it's an enhancer. It's not a replacer. It just can't replace it. Yes, it can systematize, but you actually have to teach it what to do. And you have to do it in the way that because well, okay, so I know I'm kind of going in different tangents, but at the end of the day, I believe the AI is where we're going to see the crux, the issue or the kind of the battle with AI is branding
Mhm.
because it has everything to do identity. Like I can set up an agent and it can run all of my email, social media, respond to people, do all these things. And I'm not running my business, but the messaging is what's going to differentiate me from everyone else doing the same thing. And if I am not clear on my messaging, and I'm just allowing AI to pull it out, then it's not going to be as impactful. Then I'm just basically commoditizing my business. And
Mhm.
that's what we don't want to do is we want to make sure that we're including that differentiation pillar number 2. And
Mhm.
it has to come from our voice. It's like, and so it's expertise, experience, even if it's not our experience, but another person's experience and knowledge that we can leverage to grow because that messaging is going to be so impactful and important to building a community of buyers that are going to come back over and over and again and buy, opposed to, well, everybody does the same thing. And so you're just one of many and I can choose whomever I want. Like how do you create those raving fans for your brand to stand out? And how do you stand out? You can't stand out just with AI. It has to be like some part of your identity has to be put into that. And then once it's in there, then yeah. Um, so that's my
Oh, well,
rant for the day.
that's really it's really profound. That you say enhancer um, versus replacement as an example, and so I just really started AI work about I don't know, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and once I became amazed with it, then it kept going, and so I was helping my husband with his CV, and and then also replying to some job uh, interviews, job search, and sending the cover letter and so forth. And I mean, we were the work that we did. First of all, we had to you had to put the inputs in, but
Mhm.
it was like what it what it turned out. And he keeps on saying, like practically every day, we're all going to lose our jobs. We're all going to lose our jobs, because, but then we laugh about it. And then he finds some crazy stuff on AI, that things that happen, you know, with AI, and like Musk, his got shut down a week or two ago about something that you know AI had too much information.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's
so that's really profound analysis of what you just said. It should be viewed that way.
mm. I think we're just still adopting. Like we're just like we're acclimating. We're it's like getting to know a new friend. I'm really not sure if you're gonna be like an. Are we gonna stay on this plane? Are we gonna be BFFs? Are we gonna travel the world together? Like what is like what? I don't know yet. Right? We just met,
Mhm.
and I think we're just scrubbing the surface of what that looks like. Even companies that are completely run by AI. One person firms. I know several of them,
Mhm.
and even then, it's still be careful not to commoditize because when everything sounds like the messaging, your emails, your social media, your graphics all look the same like everyone else's, yeah, you change the brand color, sure, but does it sound like that brand, that identity that you've created and established in that business? That's really killer. That's going to really separate, I believe, segregate between those who understand it as a enhancer versus those who understand it as a replacer. And it's
Mhm.
going to happen really fast because AI is really fast. So yeah, I'm still playing around with that idea, but that's how I am identifying it as. It's an enhancer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is so cool. So, Debbie, if anybody wants to reach out to you, how would they reach out to you and learn more about the pillars and how you can help them and serve them within their food and beverage business?
Yeah, so the best way to reach me is my website, which is debbiewildrick.com. It's DEBBIEWILDRICK.com. There's a contact form on there. Right at the heading, there is my phone number. My email address is on there. And so that's really the best way. And as I mentioned earlier, free.debbiewildrick.com is a, a landing page that you can go to, and actually, if you put your contact information in there, you'll get a free download of the pillar number one overview, which is a
Mm,
white paper. And so that's another way to also reach out to me, and happy to help in any way that I can. I offer certainly consultations. There, I don't have it on my website, but I do have a way of setting up a calendary. So anyway,
yeah,
happy to consult and figure out, hear about your business and figure out how we might be able to help you out.
I love that idea. That's so great. So then you have courses and a book, and you have. I
That's
mean,
right.
it just sounds like a library of resources for businesses, that are building or buying in this industry. I mean, why would you not want to work with the queen of beverages? Like that just doesn't like that just why not?
Exactly.
You like if you want to go
Exactly.
far and grow your business and be really smart with your time and invest properly and wisely, reach out to Debbie. So go to free.debbiewildrick.com or go to debbiewildrick.com and connect and build a relationship with her because she's going some places with these 10 pillars. I mean, I definitely think that this is what we need is really strategic intelligence out there that's systematized for any business to go far. Thank you so much, Debbie, for being here.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it today.
Awesome. Well, legacy builders, as always, you are on the right track. Keep going, keep striving, be resilient, do your due diligence. We learned about due diligence today. And the goals that you're striving for will be ever so much closer to you. Till next time, take care.